sorted out. But, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as this game is concerned, it's the battle to stay off the bottom of the table.
Yep.
So let's see how we play it out as we head into draft. It is going to be the Ornn ban straight away here from Bahrain. Makes a lot of sense. Crunk has actually angled towards the Ornn a few times for Palestine. So of the champions that you want to ban away here, if you're looking at it from the perspective of what champions have been most picked up by Palestine, Ornn is one. Poppy another. Palestine has been quite happy to angle towards the Poppy, but we'll see if that's something that Bahrain is going to be too worried about. Cassiopeia, another one, like I said, was expected to be a pretty important pick or ban.
Do you know if anyone has allowed Voodoo to actually pick up that Skarner game yet? Because everyone is just banning it away. It feels like it has to be some kind of one trick for him, and he's getting forced to stay uncomfortable in the jungle. By the way, we can find that one out shortly. It is going to be the Zac ban again. Everyone seems to love Zac around the West Asia area. And in the meanwhile, look, that Cass gone and Nivea gone. So a few mid picks, a few potential bot picks going to be removed here. And what's going to be the final ban for Team Palestine?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really say, isn't it? I mean, the Anivia, it's like, okay, that could be a mid pick, that could be a bot pick. Zeri, banned away, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Pretty standard stuff. Don't want to be giving that one over.
Where are we going for Team Bahrain? Are we expecting an Aphelios? Are we expecting something meta?
Senna
It's
Cho.
going to be the Senna.
It's got to be the Senna Cho, right?
Not going to be too far away. We've seen it be pretty solid. It's like, how do you really push into it, right?
Well, if anyone is going to know that, Mac, it is going to be Palestine, because they are Senna Cho aficionados.
What if they pick Cho?
Well, they could. I mean, they could. I don't think it would be good. They're going to go with the Volibear instead, so just another champion to throw into the mix here. Probably going to be going towards the jungle, you would suggest.
Palestine. He does look quite jacked, so Volibear's a great champ to synergize with him as a human. Now, moving into that second pick for Team Palestine, what is going to go down here? Volley, of course, can enable some great aggression in lane, can enable those dives, and going to pair with Illusion, that's a decent amount of damage, but they haven't quite got that Nami to go with it yet, and that's if they even want Nami to go with it.
Yeah, I think last time they played Lucian, I'm pretty sure they played it with Emilio support, which is definitely one of those choices that looks a little bit odd on paper, but again, Nami is going to be an option. Maokai is going to be picked up, so hey, maybe we're just drafting the Shadow Isles champions coming through here for Bahrain. Get a Hecarim in the mix.
Oh, yeah.
Get a Thresh in the mix.
Ooh.
Thresh center bot lane. Hey, why not? Let's go for it. I don't mind. Maokai definitely a fairly solid pick, though. Voodoo has opted to go towards the Maokai quite a lot of time.
That Galio.
Get that Galio again, which again was a talking point, right?
So support, right? I think we've seen that picked up at some point as a Galio center. Go all right down bot lane.
Yeah, I suppose it might not be the worst of choices. I'd still probably be expecting that one to be headed in towards the mid lane.
Yep. Gashi, of course, you know, we've seen him flex towards that top lane, so Tank Champ's certainly not out of his menu.
Once again, we have got the Milio down in bot with the Lucian. So if it does indeed end up being a Senna Cho, I just don't think that's going to be a good lane into Lucian Milio, right? Just think about the amount of poke that's going to be coming through from the Milio.
Yeah.
Cho's not going to be allowed to farm for free. Lucian, obviously a very aggressive laning 80 carry as well.
And those dots as well coming through from Milio is just going to start to burn away at that health.
And also quite mobile, the Lucian, so not so easy to hit the Qs onto.
Yeah. What else we got? LeBlanc out of the mix. See you later, Camille. So there's going to be no crazy plays. No fun for fun on that Camille up top. And LeBlanc means we're not going to see any crazy static Shiv builds coming through. We've got no Jax. That one gets locked in by Team Palestine. And now the final ban. What is it going to be for Team Bahrain? Where are they angling? Is it going to be another mid laner? Is it going to be another top laner? It is, however, going to be the Malphite. So that one's taken out of the mix.
Yeah, a couple of nice bans away there from the top laner of Bahrain, just wanting to sort of force them away from the AD top laners. I mean, Senna's obviously there to do the AD damage, but so far you've already drafted the Maokai and the Galio, so there's already quite an AP heavy composition starting to come through here.
Yeah, you need to go for some AD mid laner right here, right? if you go AP as well, then things get dangerous real quick. You might not be able to do as much damage as you'd hope.
Yeah, I mean, with that in mind, though, Shen on the other side of the field is going to be a good pick into that. Does like to go up against AD champions. His W is very strong. We get the Vladimir, which has been a go-to up in top for Bahrain.
More AP. So we've got a triple AP, top, mid, jungle.
I mean, like, what are we even picking here? Is it another support? Is that Galio actually going to go into mid, or does it end up being...
Nah, top, Vlad mid, Galio support, Maokai jungle, Senna ADC.
Yeah.
There you go.
But nah into Shen is an awkward matchup as well. Play it wrong, you get collapsed upon by the Shen. If he hits his taunt, you are taking a bit of a beating early on in the piece, and obviously those Ws are going to be really important for the Shen. If he times those right, can swing the matchup in his favor.
Yeah, owned up. Certainly going to be looking to scale this game. Has to be a large amount of that AD damage source. And you look on the other side of things, you got that Victor lock in. That's going to be decent AP from him. Mixed damage coming through from the volley and AP from the Shen. So you're looking at your win condition. Probably going to be the Lucian for Team Palestine. And with that Milio as well, things should be relatively safe. You do have that cleanse, which is going to be a great counter to those Nature's Grasps coming through. Maybe those taunts and potentially some other routes there from the center at any given point. But overall, this is a cluster of fun, isn't it?
It certainly is. That's definitely one of my go-tos, Mac. You've taken a leaf out of the book there. But just looking at the two drafts, I will say I'm actually quietly confident for Palestine in this game. I think they've got like the much more superior draft. I like the way this looks on paper. Just makes it a little bit more sense to me, whereas for Bahrain, it just feels like they're playing toward the individual lanes and hoping for the best. We'll see what ends up happening. Lucy and Milio, though, I expect down in that bot lane, are going to have a really good time. Senna and Galio, where do you see the angle for Galio getting engaged in this bot lane? I'm not too sure it's on.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too fun of a game for Team Bahrain unless Team Palestine egregiously builds incorrectly for their item paths. But same can be said, look, we were worried about how much AP was towards that top side of the Rift for Team Bahrain. They've shifted it up, they've flexed that Galio to bot and gone for some AD on the Gnar. For Team Palestine, they also have a heavy amount of AP towards that top side. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, who's going to be able to build more MR, and how they're going to be able to stop this Lucian. Look, I'd love to be pleasantly surprised by Onda scaling up and having a crazy game on the center. But, yeah, just all these role swaps don't give me a large amount of confidence for Team Bahrain.
I mean, look, I will say I don't have a huge amount of confidence either way, based on what we've seen so far. It has been a lot of core fun gameplay.
Let's just strap in, huh?
You know, look, I don't want to say that as like a negative thing. I don't want anyone to walk away from this saying like, oh, yeah, they're bad or this or that. It's like, you know, sometimes you get the opportunity to come to one of these tournaments. You know that you're not going to be one of the top competing teams. And listen, it's good to have a bit of fun. It's good to come into it with the mentality of just enjoying your time in a foreign country and just sort of enjoying your life, right? And so I think that's very much the mentality that Bahrain and Palestine have come into it with.
Yeah.
And, you know, get to play a bit of League of Legends on the side. So let's see what they have for us today. It's going to be a fun one.
XP and gold going to be sent across to that Gnar up top with the sweeper coming through straight away from Voodoo. Onda not going to be able to clear that ward just yet, but it is going to be spotted out. So he'll start to make his way back towards that bot lane, looking to find some prio dynamo. Just trying to force Team Palestine away from this position. I'm keen to see how Palestine goes for the clear here. He started with the Sky Splitter, already went back and found the sweeper as well. Solo start, top to bot clears for both sides. Let's see what the pathing's going to be, if it's just going to be that full clear into a bot lane gank or something a little more experimental. Ooh, level 1 trades certainly not favouring Team Bahrain right now.
As expected, Mac. It's exactly like I said, right? This Galio, level 1 Galio, not exactly the strongest in lane. And when you're up against Emilio and a Lucian...
he started with the Doran's shield there as well.
Yep, so he's farming. And the Senna is playing fasting Senna. But this is what I'm talking about. It's like every time you want to farm as Galio, you have to walk up to hit the creep, and every time you do that,
you lose a lot of health.
You are going to be chunked.
Ugh. Ugh.
So level 2 advantage already for Palestine down there in bot. Onda and Dynamo not going to have a good time down there. It's not going to be fun.
Ashbar. Let's see how things go for him at mid, but for the most part, again, it's just going to be all eyes on bot. Heal going to be popped. Those pots as well. Trying to be used, trying to heal back up to have some kind of sustain in the lane. Big stun coming through, and Fun makes that look too easy up against Crunk. Whacking him down, hitting Mega real early on.
Yep.
And there was nothing that Crunk could do.
Well,
He's going to TP back.
The one big thing about playing against Nara in lane is don't fight him when he's Mega.
Well, we've got the action starting from the 1 minute mark already. Onda going to be ignited, has that heal, but he's not going to be able to survive. And now it's a 2-on-3. Team Bahrain, they're still trying to force the point here. But again, it's just two big tanks not doing too much damage at all. So Team Palestine, they're able just to stand here and poke him down.
I love that from Palestine. He just does not care. He gives no Fs at all. He just flashes over the wall. Gets the auto down, ignite in there from Skip. Enough burn damage from the red buff and the ignite. Now Palestine though might have gotten a bit over aggressive here. Yusuf stuck in there with him.
Onda back. Is he going to have the damage to try to finish this one off? Good shielding coming out from Palestine. Has the Sky Splitter, which has turned the fight around. Voodoo so low, Dynamo running for his life. And Palestine just wants to hit the final shot. He will get that claw sweep off.
What is this? All
of a sudden things just get dangerous. Onda, he'll pick up that one. Actually, it's Dynamo to steal it away. Oh, well, this is chaos already.
It is indeed. I see where this game is going, Mac. And what I see in my future is chaos.
Anger.
Disbelief. I have no prediction as to which way this game will end up playing out. Like, it could be 2-0 one way. It could be a really long 3 games, or who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, let's watch this again, huh? Because lots went down. Dynamo ran into 2, hoping that Voodoo would come to help him. Voodoo runs in, gets that root off, and again just keeps on circling around, hoping to live. Sapling could have been a difference maker there. Will slow them down. Palestine eventually going to get that last hit onto Voodoo. So you'd argue that that kill was better on him than Dynamo taking Palestine. Yusuf in the meanwhile will just walk out. And Gashi was even down there trying to get an assist, but they weren't able to find it. And up top, Fun. Just back-to-back, going to be able to find some solo bolos, and Crunk just not ready for this matchup, I guess.
This lane starts to get more and more unplayable if you die early as the Shen.
Yes.
Give the Nara an advantage. He's going to bully you out. So that is going to be a really big problem around the map here for Palestine. Especially come level 6. Nara is a difficult champion to gank. Quite mobile, quite quick around the map.
Yeah.
In mid, little bit of a lead being gained here by Bahrain on the Vladimir. Get a replay of the kill in top. What's Kronk up to?
I mean, hits him with the emote.
See, this is where it's like, I don't know how is it possible to die on the Shen here.
Like that. Like that.
Yeah,
and Fun didn't have to flash for it either.
It's getting a bit too big for his boots, maybe. Hanging around a bit too long. Obviously, you saw he had the dash to get out, but used it a little bit too late. Ate the Q and the W from the Gnar.
Yeah. Well, back to the jungle. Back to I was going to say a little bit of relaxation time, but it looks like that's not going to be happening at all. See you later, Skip. Bam. He's gone. Gashi going to be able to pick that one up, and things... It looked so good on that initial fight for Team Palestine down towards the bot side, but now things are starting to go wrong really quickly. Crunk going to be able to get to the safety of the turret. Voodoo attempts the gank. And Palestine could get caught off here. Got that vision to play around. Crunk going to try to come back in, but again, Fun, level 6 now, has that level advantage.
Yeah. Just positionally, Crunk definitely looks outmatched in this top matchup.
He just can't walk in. Oh, he's a little bit tilted in the player cam there as well, but understandable. He's just not allowed to play the game.
He's not too sure what to do. It's a tough place to be in when you're playing a melee top laner against a ranged top laner and you do get behind. You tend to have very few options. Maybe he has to start looking to work around the map, obviously try to hit level 6, get the stand united. Try to have impact down in the bot lane, which seems to be the strong point of Palestine right now. But Bahrain have already managed to gain a fairly significant lead. 500 gold starting to work in their favor, even despite being so significantly down in farm in the bot lane. That's outweighed by top and mid having advantages.
We've got a little update as well. Kuwait managed to beat Team Jordan 2-1 over on the side stage. So they are going to be able to jump over Jordan on the table, I believe, and potentially locking that third position on the leaderboard. In the meanwhile, we've got this Inferno Drake getting taken out by Team Palestine, and it should be completely uncontested. You can see Voodoo went for that reset into base, so he's not going to get here anywhere near in.
Crunk has at least hit level 6.
That's a start.
There's some
try to help out bot.
Very obvious leads for both sides, right? Top, mid, very strong right now for Bahrain. Whereas bot and jungle do seem to be having a little bit more of an impact here for Palestine. And if both teams can identify where their strong points are and play towards them, play around them, that's what's going to help them later on in this game.
Palestine certainly on the way. There is going to be the vision, but Team Bahrain, they are straight up, maybe a little bit too deep now. Dynamo is certainly going to be going down. Doesn't have the movement to get out of this one for sure. Palestine, he's just barely missed that ult, and unfortunately it looks like there could be Team Bahrain getting away. Voodoo still doesn't have the Nature's Grasp online, so we'll just throw a seedling at them. Yeah,
that is the kind of situation where sometimes it is better to just let one get away and focus on the other. Could have maybe turned on to Dynamo a little earlier there, Palestine. Onda was forced to flash and heal out of it. So everyone gets away, but Voodoo's just going to get
he's allowed to just
a free gank in here. He's allowed to walk in behind everybody.
Still, maybe not the most potent of ganks. Will be jumping straight onto the head of Skip now, who's gone a little bit too big. There it is, some extra
Stand United.
ults coming forward. Palestine going to start to walk on back in, and it looks like this is going to be Team Palestine turning it right around. Grunt going to even come and get in on the action, going to be able to find an assist for himself. But from here now, it's just reset city. But the TPs are going to come through. That is not where you want to be going to. Looks like that's going to be fun here. He is quite large. He does have a couple of levels advantage on some of these individuals. J-Bar going to whip the flash, won't get over the wall, and that's going to be his death sentence. Skip now going to get rooted as well, and Fun certainly turning this one around. Big damage going onto him though. Drunk going to be able to start to activate Yusuf as well. In the meanwhile, just constantly chunking out some damage, chunking out those dots, allowing Skip to survive with those heals. The warming fire was too nice. And Team Palestine, I feel like they win that engagement.
They definitely do. Big swing in the goal going back in their favor. Let's take a look at the replay here. Maybe it was a bait all along here from Palestine. Stand United come through. Crunk, great taunt onto 2 members. Skip is still very healthy. Courtesy of that warming fire. And then the rest of the squad rolls in. It's 5 players down on the bottom side of the map. You've got Nah and Vlad still pushing their lanes in. Not interested in joining. TP come through too late to save Voodoo. Able to find the trade onto the Victor. I think he sidestepped the ulti and then panic flashed. If he would have just, you know, sidestepped the ulti, which he did a nice job of, and then flashed over the wall, he would have been totally safe. But ultimately, it did amount in a much more favorable trade there for Palestine than it did for Bahrain. Who's ahead at the moment in the game, though? It's kind of hard to say. Maybe Palestine ever so slightly.
Well, the Audi live win percentage seems to be favouring Team Palestine just barely at the moment by a couple of percent. Looks like Fun could be in trouble. He's not quite there at Meganar just yet. We are going to see the Nature's Grasp invested, and Palestine is going all in on this one. Should be able to win that 1v1 on the Voodoo as well after dodging the ult. Great positioning coming through there. And in the meanwhile, you've still got Skip just whacking away at these turret plates.
Palestine is an alpha male. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
He does not care. He just goes.
He knows that Volley is a very aggressive early game champ. Can scale up really well if it needs to. And he's just gone for that Sheen. Can just get big pumped damage off the back of getting that item spike.
There you go.
Very early on. We got there.
We are on an island.
Ireland spike. Island gap.
Going to try to grab the Rift Herald as well. Looks like we have a lane swap. As Crunk's going to head down toward bot. Mid's a bit of a concern for me. Vladimir has been left to his own devices for the most part this game, and Vladimir, when he gets given the opportunity to farm, can be very scary later on in the game. So that Vlad, what have they got to deal with it? Victor scales quite nicely as well, but he's a fair bit behind now in terms of the CS. Should be a top tower for Palestine. First tower of the game.
Yeah. Charge coming through there. And will they get the second? Make sure that Herald has turret aggro before they go for this one. Team Bahrain. They don't want to go down without a fight. They are going to try to come across here and find this Herald before it gets that charge off. I'm not sure Anders can get in behind it. And big charge. Half HP on the T2.
Yeah, very nice to grab the second charge there. A little bit of extra damage onto the top tower. Game will slow down for a little bit now, you would expect. I'm trying to bite back my words though, because maybe expect the unexpected is what we have to go with in this series. Dragon's up in 15 seconds, so that'll be a point of contact.
Gashi just wants to try to stop that back from happening, but spots Yusuf, decides against pushing into the tower. And that soccer ball is going to be missing by a mile. Gashi, oh man, damn low. The culling going to even be invested. But of course, Gashi able to just dodge all that damage as well. Be able to heal up in the meanwhile. On this minion wave. Drake's up, Team Bahrain, they're spotting out J-Bar down towards that bot side, and in comes the Nature's Grasp. They want him, they want a free kill. Everyone's hungry to get in on this one, and there's no answer in response.
They're losing a lot in mid.
Over towards mid, yeah, there's turrets going down. Still another 40 seconds on this one, and one more play could certainly be found by Team Palestine.
It's going to be
keep pushing the point here.
A very strong Lucian. See if Palestine is interested in fighting for this dragon. I would be surprised if he's not.
Well, he wants this blue buff first, and off the
Look at him go.
Now, TP starting to come through from Team Bahrain. Palestine just jumping straight in on him with the ult. It is just going to be melting. Skip now needs to try and pump a lot of this damage in, and it might just be working out. Team Bahrain now starting to melt. See you later, Voodoo and Dynamo. They just won't have a lot of damage to play with there, and it's Dynamo ulting to safety.
Yep. Skip uncontested in that fight. He was 3-1 going into it. He did have that Blade of the Ruined King. A lot of item spikes actually being hit here for Palestine as we go into that fight. And Skip, really the MVP for that one. He's able to just sit in the back line and do so much damage. No one's really built up that tankiness just yet on Bahrain to be a problem for the Lucian. Now Dynamo getting dove.
Giving it the crack, Palestine. He's able to take a couple of shots now. TP starting to come through from that top lane, and fun is scary. Dynamo able to survive for the moment, and he's just going to back and reset, hoping that he can make his way back forward. Yusuf taking down a lot of that damage now. Skip has that culling, which is doing a decent amount of damage on the Fun, who hasn't quite hit Megaform just yet. Palestine going to be able to finish this one up just barely. It is going to be traded. Onda in the meantime gets a couple more stacks there with the kill coming through, and you're happy with that, getting the kill onto the ADC.
That's right. The fact that they even trade 1-for-1 there, though, is absolutely insane. Palestine gets away with murder.
I thought there'd be way more action coming through for Team Palestine. But
definitely should have been punished harder. Definitely should have been punished harder. But they now have themselves a 4K gold lead, which ordinarily you would say is a very strong position to be in. But having watched some of the Palestine games, I really can't say anything with certainty.
You can see Palestine as well, knowing his role, goes for the gauntlet instead as that Mythic. Doesn't go for too much of a damage-heavy build. We'll just go for that Brawler build. Put up that extra HP. Here it is again, everything going down. Over was that Drake hit. Palestine getting a nice ult there and just living, just hitting the same individual, healing up throughout this one. Forming fire, coming in behind him. And Yusuf, I feel like the silent hero for everything that just went down. But it is going to be Team Palestine getting the first two Drakes pretty early on in the game. You know, sometimes in here, in West Asia, we've seen teams just completely forget that they exist. But a couple of Drakes, big advantage for Team Palestine.
Yeah, Palestine are taking this seriously. They're really working their way through the map pretty nicely. Taking themselves a mid tower here as well, just to further accelerate Skip, who's now finished 2 items. Gashi's going to get aggressive. We talked about it. Vladimir, when he gets given the opportunity to farm, can be a problem.
This Nature's Grasp can hit. It's certainly zoning them over towards that top side of the mid lane. Gashi just trying to find damage anywhere, and it's going to be Palestine falling, even with that tank build. And now Dynamo as well, going to be able to make his way back. Grunt coming in just in time to save his teammates. Skip, he's hungry. He's dishing damage. He's only died one time, and he's got a lot more to do. There it is. Nice. Threaded the needle on that one.
No one is looking at Skip. No one is looking at Skip in that entire fight. All the damage goes into Palestine. Yusuf was the first target initially, and Skip's like, hey, by the way, I'm 7-1 on the Lucian.
Wrong game, man.
That's the wrong game, yep. And, you know, he's been given all the liberties. He's been allowed to do anything. He's having the dream game on Lucian. Just have a watch of it. Again, initial damage onto Yusuf. Gashi all in on the Milio. Senna ulti comes across, very irrelevant, does absolutely nothing. And then Skip, nobody even looking in his direction. Culling, excellent, hits pretty much every single shot, and then he receives the ulti, the Stand United from Crunk. He's feeling healthy. He has not even taken any damage this entire fight, and had he, he's got the healing to keep himself safe anyway, and so runs him down with the red buff. Great fight for Skip, and poor target selection from Bahrain.
Well, Fun now might be getting a helping hand here. Palestine certainly getting a bit too big for his boots. He will be able to try to run away here, but he won't be able to get away. And now he's also baited in Skip to die. That's going to be 1,000 gold handed over to Elder as well. That's the worst person to go for it to go on for Team Palestine. Because Team Bahrain now certainly going to start to scale back up that little better into the game.
Oh, nice shot from Onda.
There's another kill too, straight onto the center.
Little bit of a misplay there for Palestine. Cannot afford to be giving a 1k gold shutdown.
And then some.
As easily as that.
Yep.
To be fair, J-Bar is going to be able to trade the bot tower for the advantage that Bahrain's getting in mid and with that Rift Herald, but how far can they push this Rift Herald? Definitely going to get a charge onto that second tower.
Yeah, Ashbar, he's doing a bit of split pushing. He's never really there for the team fights, but it feels like Team Palestine don't necessarily need him. Maybe right now they do. Herald's going to start to chunk away at the tower, and let's see if they can get another charge off the back of it. Surely they just belt this one down. And without Yusuf getting here in time, it looks like this might not happen. Palestine, hungry, will be able to find that Herald, and now it is going to be the rotation back towards their own side.
Towards Dragon.
4 seconds.
Bahrain don't really want to reset here. It's not a good timing. The Dragon would go down for free if they did. Info's there.
Voodoo going to be spotted. And it looks like they were going to try to cheese in the bush.
This is smart from Palestine. They're not going to make the mistake. And that reset more or less should give Palestine this Dragon for free.
Yeah, Dynamo decides against it, spotting that vision coming their way. And Palestine about to make it onto Soul Point. Voodoo, he is not interested. Look, he's gone to the Raptors instead. And Team Bahrain trying to play a longer game.
Well, they might not do too well in that longer game either, Mac, because this is now Soul Point for Palestine.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty solid to be able to grab it.
All those Chemtech plants across the whiff. Across the whiff? Across the riff. We're having a day today, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
Yes. We'll certainly change up the game. You can already see the empowered sprayers just getting big vision. The range on those things is actually crazy. Now, back towards the bot side, we refocus our attention. Crunk just going to be waiting here, hoping that the wave gets shoved into him. And again, Ashbar just constantly going for this split, trying to scale on up, all on his own.
Yep, trying to get the side lane XP. Fair enough. Victor really does hit some power spikes later on. Odds have definitely shifted in the favor of Palestine. They're on the Baron now as well, man.
Out of nowhere.
There's no vision.
They just walked into
this
one.
They don't know.
Yeah. No one's put anything down over towards the top. Yeah, you've got Gashi there. He's bumming up Storm. Voodoo going to spot this one, and they might be just in time.
Skips out
he does have that Nature's Grasp. Even if the Baron goes over to Team Palestine, they could be in trouble. Yusuf, he's barely living for the moment, has a whole bunch of shielding thanks to Crunk jumping on in. But now Crunk, surely he doesn't get away from this one. Will flash to safety.
No shot.
And the Blast Cone allows him to get away. Yusuf has another Blast Cone himself. Surely he can just hit back here and potentially get the full channel vision. Going to spot him out. Surely it's going to be one falling for Team Palestine. And is that going to happen?
Yeah.
It will eventually.
But
there is no way that they are all there. They get hit by the Nature's Grasp and 4 of them get out. That is
yeah, that was an awkward looking spot for Palestine, actually. I mentioned Skip had no mana. The Stand United goes in onto the Melio. I think if they would have actually played around the Stand United and re-engaged off the back of that, Palestine maybe could have done something there, but just a little more keen to ensure that they still have the Baron buff. And fair enough. So a lot of neutral objectives being taken by Palestine this game. That's really been largely their focus. It's kind of refreshing to see, actually. But they have really had difficulty closing games out. I think that has been the big talking point for this West Asia group. And here's another good example of what they're going to be able to do. They're in the pole position. They've got Baron. What is going to be the power play? They could theoretically end the game right here. As in, maybe not finish the game off, but get it to such a point where it's undeniable that they should win it from there.
Well, the gold's still even. See how much that changes while the Baron buff is activated. Ashbar again, just going to constantly give him the pressure on the side lane. I'd love to see what happens when he turns up to one of these fights. Because so far he hasn't needed to. But you know that he's just a solid source of damage for Team Palestine. And it hasn't been necessary for Team Palestine to win these fights, thanks to Skip here, who is going to be spotted out. We've got Palestine hiding. There is going to be that Scry is pinging him. And Fun about to hit Mega. This is a bad place to be if you are Team Palestine. Okay. Nah, goes in on him, and it looks like Skip. He is going to receive the ult from Barung coming in and will survive somehow. Now they've got a huge front line just going on in here. Palestine just base tanking everything, but he's done a whole bunch of damage. And there is a world where there's big follow-up for Team Palestine, but they're not going to attempt it.
Yeah, I can't believe Skip survives there.
Ridiculous.
He receives everything. He receives all the Milio heals and shields, and obviously the Stand United as well. And he only just gets through it alive, but now Voodoo might have overcommitted. Skip, Blade of the Rune King, going to chase him down. Has the red buff in tow, makes it a lot easier.
That's a 3v4 now, and this mid-wave quite pushed up.
Not
we
to
are
mention,
going to see Crunk sending it back rather than just trying to push into base.
Dragon is up in 50 seconds, so that's what Palestine is looking at. They want to just reset prior to that, get themselves sorted. They don't need to break open the base here. Take a look at this replay though. Just watch Skip. He's so lucky that Fun doesn't actually have ult online right here, and can't actually finish him off.
Crazy. Then just able to turn around, walk straight back on in. And in the meanwhile, Team Palestine just focusing back towards that soul. They want it. They don't want to allow Team Bahrain to find too much.
Yeah.
Theoretically, talk with me. Team Bahrain. Maybe they want Team Palestine to get the soul. Maybe they want the Elder to be an angle. Because if they can snatch that away,
giving over that soul though is going to make this much more difficult to win. Gashi almost insta-give by Ajba. And Skip.
The draft going to come across for Palestine again, just to be in there solo. Ajbar trying to dish damage from afar, and it's doing a decent amount of work. Now you can see that this heal starting to come across. Crunk as well, going to be TPing, looking for a flank angle, but he might not get there in time. Dynamo going to be falling in the meanwhile, but that's just the support down. Now again, just jumping forward. Palestine has no fear. He is the Giga Chad that Team Palestine need. And with all of this presence, with forcing these backs out, it's just going to be soul taken by Palestine, and Team Palestine as well, pushing in, trying to take this in-hit turret. Fun, he's hanging around on way too low of a health to have the impact. We'll have that plant to try to heal up quickly, try to get some of those shields off, but you can see that there's just too much damage, too much power on Team Palestine. They're going to find this inhib completely uncontested, as well as the soul point at the same time.
Yep, that's perfect execution from Palestine. They're playing a very good game here. Starting to see a couple of kills go the way of Ajbar. I mean, he is scaling into the game as well with some of that CS and starting to become a real thorn in their side. This might not be a free dragon in the end. Palestine does smite it away, but might have to give up his life for it.
Palestine has about 50% of that ult back. He doesn't have the flash. He does have a decent amount of movement speed, but they're just trying to keep him away from the blast cone, which they will do successfully. What is the trade? Yes, the soul's there. Yes, you've found Palestine. That soul is eternal for the rest of the game. And you're losing your base. You're losing your top lane completely. 2 inhibs down now. Waves going to be synced up in a moment, and Team Palestine are just winning the macro tremendously.
Yeah, Palestine just hiding from Bahrain, and then they spot them all over towards the Dragon Pit, and they think, okay, well, guess we'll take a free top inhib as well. This game feels like it's minutes away from being finished off right here. I'd say, take a reset right here as Palestine look towards the Baron and then look towards the end, and that should be relatively straightforward. It's a fairly uncontestable Baron for Bahrain when the waves are pushing into their base. You've got 2 waves of super creeps, so it's going to be really difficult to even get out of your base. Not to mention the fact that you're down quite substantially in gold, and Skip's playing a great game here.
Yeah.
Should be straightforward for Palestine to finish this one off, especially with that Dragon Soul in tow as well. But to be fair to Bahrain, they're doing their due diligence, getting some vision down around the Baron Pit. So at the very least, they'll know what's going on. And in the end, Palestine do send 2 members down toward bot. Granted, they both have a means to get back to the Baron pit, but you need 2 players down here right now.
What do they think about it? However, Yusuf going to get caught out there. Palestine trying to face tank everything, but the Nature's Graph not going to commit for long enough. Of course, with that soul, they're just going to have an incredible amount of tenacity to deal with that ultimate. Ashbar, in the meanwhile, going to be able to pick up 1 kill onto Fun down towards that bot side, and Team Bahrain realize, okay, things are not going to go well if we don't rotate away. But they still have the numbers. It's all a bait. It's all a ruse. They're walking on vision. They don't know it. But Voodoo, he's looking for an angle and hoping that they can catch one of these Team Palestine members now. Going forward, Palestine might be the target. He's going to be able to face tank a lot of damage, and again, Skip's just going to be standing behind him, so front to back with 2 members. It's more than enough, and Voodoo, the positioning, the spacing between him and everyone else was just not good enough. The cancelled TP, Gashi's gone, and this is either a Baron or just the end angle.
This
for sure.
is the end of the game. Look at the base.
The minions.
The super creeps are doing it on their own. They don't need any champions.
Oh, and that is egregious from Team Bahrain. Team Palestine, however, finally showing us what they're made of. It was an interesting draft phase. It's been an interesting game phase as well. Palestine doing big work. In comes that shielding. It's insane how much damage is getting pumped out now. Fun trying to run for his life, and that is going to be game 1 in the bag now for Team Palestine, and they are extremely happy with this one.
Yeah, certainly a very confident victory in the end for Palestine. It was a bit back and forth at the start of the game, but ultimately